Good evening, everyone. We warmly welcome you all to Road to Warzone, our first workshop of Enigma 2024, conducted by the Mathematics Society of University of Mora. I'm Metma Veragoda, project co-chair of Enigma 2024. We have planned 6 workshops and 1 industry session for you. In addition to that, all of you can take part in our hackathon too. This workshop series will be the perfect guide to anyone new to Python and had been tailored to suit in the modules you will be learning in the first semester. Our team had worked long and hard to provide the best materials and prepare you for any international level hackathon and will certainly come in handy when you will be taking part in the hackathons like IEEE Extreme. So, without further ado, let's delve into it. Let me introduce your instructor for today, Varun Pubal Raja, from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. So, over to you, Varun.
Thank you, Mitra. Am I audible?
Yes, Varun, you are audible.
Thank you for the introduction and good evening, guys. I hope you are interested to learn about the basics of Python, and it is nice to meet you all. So today, what we will be doing here is I'll go through some basic concepts in Python programming languages, and in upcoming sessions, you'll learn about all those concepts and ideas in deep. So try to focus today, and it will be very helpful for you to search all those topics and join the workshops if could, so that it will be helpful for you to familiarize with all those topics what we are going to discuss today. So I'll share my screen with you all. So I think the screen is visible.
Yeah, Varun, we can see you.
Yeah, thank you. So before going into Python, we'll discuss about what is program. So what is program is an ordered sequence of instructions that a hardware can execute. For instance, think about a value 10. You are asked to save that value in the memory of your computer. So that is the instruction. Load 10 in some memory of your computer. That instruction is what we call a program. So like this, there are several kinds of instructions in many other problems. So these instructions are helpful to solve those problems, and that is what we call program. And programmers develop these programs. How? They develop these using algorithms. So when we look into algorithms, algorithm is a sequence of finite number of well-defined steps for solving a problem. If you take a mathematics problem, like simplifying an expression, there is a rule called Bodmasne. So you have to solve the brackets first, after that the power, and after that the division. Yeah, after that the division. So this is a set of rules you need to follow to simplify the expression and get the answer. That is very similar to algorithm. It is a rule with finite number of steps. If you go through that, you can solve that problem. So that is what we call algorithms. So to build a program to solve a problem, you have these steps to follow. So first, we need to know about the problem. Like if we can say like there is a number of list of marks of students, and you have to find the max who got the maximum amount of marks in a subject and the minimum amount of marks in a subject. That is a problem, and the outline of the solution you could come up with is you have to analyze all those marks and which is the top greatest that comes as the max, and you can find the student who belongs to that, and you can do that same thing to the minimum marks as well. So for this you need to develop an algorithm. The algorithm will be analyzing those marks and the way to point out the greatest marks. After that, testing those algorithms and finding faults. If there is a like we say like two people got 90 and that is the greatest marks, you need to uh, get the end result of those two and express it. So, to build a program, you need to follow these steps. And finally, you need to check errors and execute the program and check errors, debug. And after that, you can document this program. And in near future, you could develop this uh, programs into a much efficient version, like not only calculating max and minimum, you can also calculate total average of a student, so you can update these things. That is what we call a number of versions of programs. You have like to give a simple example, you are now seeing this in a Windows operating system. Uh, from 2010 to now, Windows have developed a lot, so it has released many versions, and there are many different kinds of advantages in all those versions. So those additions is what we call maintaining the program and adding some extra features to that. So with all that in aside, now we'll move on to introduction to Python. So Python is called a versatile language because in many fields, we use Python programming language. For example, machine learning, data science, and in some kind of automation things, also we use Python. For example, like if your girlfriend asks, you and your girlfriend have a problem, and if she, like a stereotypical girlfriend, she asks you to message sorry like 1,000 times, really Python could help you to automate those things. And you can like plan to send 1,000 messages to her, so that you'll be very free from that. And in sometimes in universities, we automate these we have codes to automate joining in Zoom and recording the lectures which are going on, so that has really helped a lot for our people. So in things like that, by learning these programming languages, you could it could help you in the daily life and also in industrial world. And when you look at Python, it is said that it is easy to learn. Why do you think that is? There are two kinds of programming languages. One is low-level language, and other is high-level languages. What we call low-level language is what the computer understands. The machine language, which consists of binary 1 and 0, it is very hard to code a program using those machine language things. So that's why we have introduced high level language, which is very similar like writing in English, so that we could program, I mean, like we can write a code to solve a problem, and we use a compiler to transfer those codes into machine language so that the computer understands and does it. That is what basically happens. And Python also has a rich library. It is second to C++. When you look into programming language like C++, it has a lot of libraries. So what do you mean by library is libraries have a predefined function for common problems, like what I have said before, like calculating total marks of a student, finding average. So for these kinds of common problems, they have already have a well-defined code stored in these libraries, so that we could take those functions and use it in our codes, which could make our code like very shorter, and it will be very advantageous because we don't have to spend a lot of time in coding all those simple things. So we can use libraries for that. So this is a basic introduction about Python. And so how to code in Python is now we are going to see about that. I guess, I mean, I think that you have all watched that how to install Python in your computer video in the group. The that is, I mean, the videos that is shared in the group. So I won't explain about how to install it. I'll show you the interactive mode and scripting mode in the IDE. So this is what uh, Metma is my ideally platform visible. Yeah, it is visible. So this is called integrated development learning environment. This is where you this is where you so this is called that integrated development learning environment. This is where you actually code. So here you can see that you can write the code. So this when you use the codes in this platform, this is called that interactive mode where you can type one-line codes. For example, I can write hello world in all YouTube videos, and you get that output as hello world, and you can actually enter only one line, and the next line asks for another code, and in second phase you can create a new file and open a script where could where you could save a long block of code, and after that you could run and get the work done. So that is where we normally code using Python. So this is what I explained about scripting mode. Like you can write a block of codes and enter that. Now when we move on to basic data types, Python has a lot of data types, and uh, it consists of numbers, characters, strings, and also there is a collective data type which is called list, dictionary, and sets. When you look into numeric types of data, you have three types of data: integers, float, and complex numbers. So what is integers is whole numbers. It can be any number like 777 or 65 or minus 213. These all of these numbers are known as integers. There's a inbuilt function known as type to check all of these data types. Now, if I give an input as a, you can see that it returns a value int, which means integer. And for b also, it returns the value integer. So similarly to all of these values, to return integers because they are defined like that. And floating point numbers are known as which has a decimal point. For example, 2.23, 0.23 or minus 0.23, minus 0.23. So these things are known as float data types. And the other thing, the other third numeric type is known as complex. That is written, I think you have an idea about complex numbers, which also have real plus imaginary numbers. In max, we use I to denote the imaginary part, but in here, you use a J, and there is an order to write this. You can't write the J in front and 9 back. It will give a name error. So the order is the other way. So if you check the type here, it returns as complex. So now what I'll be doing is I'll give you some examples, and I expect all the participants to uh, like name those data types. You can also put those data type it belongs in the chat, so that it will be very interactive to learn as well. So, just a minute. So I want you all to find the data type of these numbers. You can also try these out in your computers, and please put that in the chat so that I could know whether you understood what I said or not. So I'll give you a few minutes to go through this, and can put the data types in the chats. Like you can order these into, you can put these the data types in the order so that we can find whether you got the idea about this or not. Good, Mr. Seneth Vikrama Ratna. Shashan only got one answer correct. Six is in, and if you could also say other what about other data types, it will be easy. Yeah, Tarindu, yeah, it is correct. Yeah, I can see that many enthusiastic people here. Go on, go on. There are a lot of participants here, and I can only get a few messages. I expect all of you to answer. Yeah, this. Okay, very good. Like we have got a lot of answers from the participants, and I feel that everybody understood what I have said. So now we will move on to the next thing. The other data type, other than the numerics, are Boolean, string, and there are also hybrid data types, which, as I said, it has a collective number of datas. A list could include number data type, Boolean, string, and in those numbers as well, you can put a integer in that list, float in that list, and also you can include a complex number in that list. So these things um, are collective data types that could include all those basic data. So when you look into Boolean, there are only two data types, which is known as true and false. So yeah, you can see this. Now A is a Boolean data type. It will return bool when you ask for the data type. Here you can see it returns bool. And string data types have you can also include a single character or a big word that doesn't make any difference, like in other programming languages. type 1. So both A and B are string data types. You can see it here. So both A and B are string data types. And we have also prepared examples for this as well. So now try to guess whether these are string data types or not. This is very simple so that you can find the difference. But strings, by strings, do you mean all are strings? Yeah. Mohammed says it's all strings. Yeah, all of them are strings, yes. So yeah, all of them are strings. But what I basically wanted to tell here is when you use like you define a string, there is no constraints to use a double apostrophe like here or a single apostrophe. Uh, you can use both of them to define strings, so there is no like a specific apostrophe to use for strings. That is why I wanted to introduce here. So that is okay now. So and now like I'll show you what is list. So as I said, it can have I mean, a lot of different types of data into it. Okay, the list. You can see over here it returns list as a data type and not A. So this A returns a list which has multiple values in it. And dictionary is also very similar to list, but we use curly brackets in here. And the other difference between list and dictionary is list is an ordered data type. Ordered in the sense you have indexes, like every value in the list here have their own arrangement values, like uh, from 1 to this true. There is an order like 0 to 1 to 3. So in this left to right way, you can order this as 0 to 1. So like I can access those values using those indexes. For instance, you can see that a 0 address gives you the value 1, and a 4 gives you the value true. So it basically returns you the value that is stored in these lists. But when you use dictionary or sets, um, you can't like expect it to return a value because that is an unordered list. But in dictionaries, you could give a key value to store all values. Like for instance, I'm giving Varun here, and in the key value 2, I'm saving Enigma. And you could access those values in the dictionary using those keys. For example, if I write like this, oh, it returns the value Varun, which is the key, obviously 1. And if you type 2 in here, it will return Enigma. So for both dictionaries and sets, we use curly brackets. For type of sets, return set here, and for dictionary, also you can check the type. For it will return dit. This is the data type value it will return. So what do you think for only curly bracket it will return? Is this a dictionary data type or a set data type? Yeah, Mohammed has replied dictionary data type. Nidarshan is saying it is a set. I'm getting a lot of answers saying that this is a set. Yeah, people are saying, well, I'm getting a lot of collective answers, but the majority is what I get is set. Yeah. So, okay, so now we'll reveal the answer. So type A. You can see that it returns the data type as dictionary. So because for you to declare it as a set, you have to have some value in. You can't leave this curly brackets empty. You have to have some values in it, like 1, 2, like given some values name. So now if you try, you can get that D is a data type belongs to set. So for this to be a set data type, you can't leave the curly brackets empty because uh, in there is not a concept like null set in Python. So you have to have some value in the set for that to be declared as a set value. So that is about the basic data types of Python. These are the examples I have gone through, and now we'll move on to objects. So what this object means is everything you like. Uh, if you say A is equal to 2, if you like define A is equal to 2, this A is equal to 2 is an object. This 2 itself is an object. So objects are Python's abstraction of data. By that it means uh, ob like you don't have to know how to assign those. I mean, like the what the computer does to assign these A as 2, but objects really helps you to like get to the end result A is equal to 2. It is pretty complicated, but it is simply like you don't have to care about what the backend process is. You have to just assign A to 2 and the computer will assign it to 2. That is why we use objects in Python. So for objects, every object has these 3 attributes which are called identity, type, and value. Like type is what I've already said, the data type, integer or float or whatever the data type is, and value is what we declare, like A is equal to 2 or A is equal to 3. And this identity is something like the NIC we hold. Like for each person, we have a unique NIC name. So this identity is something similar to that. Now let's see about the identity. So I'll declare A is equal to 500. We use ID, a built-in function, to find the identity of A. So it returns a value like 190440 something. But what do you think B equals 0, zero's ID will return? Will it return the same value or it will return a different value? Yeah. If, so we are getting both answers like same and different. So as I said, object has identity and this ID is similar to the NIC of a person. So every single person have a different ID number. That is same for here as well. So for this thing, like A is equal to 500 and B is equal to 500 are two different objects, so that it won't have the same identity number. You can see for ID B, you get a different value. So ID for every single object are different. It has a unique identity for every object. Like that, if I assign 1, A is equal to 1 and B is equal to 1, what do you think the ID of both A and B will be? Any answers? So you have the idea of A here. Different. So then, so a lot of people are saying different. I'm glad that you got the idea that object has unique identity, but the ID of B will be the same as A. So why do you think that I have already said that I objects have unique identities, but here for A and B, you get same IDs. Why do you think that happens? Anybody knows, or shall I explain it? Is there anyone who knows why for A equal 1 and B equal 1, we get the same ID? I guess nobody knows, so I'll say it. Before going into that answer, I want all of you to think of a number, any number, and put that number in the chat. You can think of any number quickly. I am home is giving 7, action is 99, 5, 16. Okay, we are getting a lot of numbers. Yeah. So all of you could think of a number in two digits. All of you are giving a 2-digit and 3-digit numbers, which is in between 0 and 255, if I'm not wrong. So for what uh, the people who have designed these things have done is like will like the numbers you have put in the chat, is something we use daily in our life, those small numbers. So they've already saved these numbers in the memories of our computers so that it could reduce the time of accessing it. Like here, 1 is saved in this identity number. And when you assign A as 1, it will just keep that as a reference for that ID. But still, this is a different object. So the memory is what decides the ID. Because of 1 being already saved in the memory, you won't get a different ID for 1, not only 1, but also for the numbers from 0 to 255. So when I try A is equal to 2, or like not A is equal to 2, I will say like 55 and B is equal to 55. So ID for A and ID for B will be the same because these numbers are already saved in the memory and their identities are predefined. So when you assign these numbers to another reference, the ID won't change. It will just simply navigate this A to 55. That's it. Like think of it as having a home in Colombo. Uh, you are asking an address from other person. Uh, you want to go to that home and you are asking that address. They will simply navigate you to that place. But the like you could be anywhere in Colombo, but from that place they could navigate you to that home, but the real address of that home won't change. That is what happening here. You have already saved these numbers in the memory, and those identities are predefined. So when you assign these A is equal to 55, it will just keep that as a reference for 55, but the identity won't change. But if you go above the number 255, like when I used 500 previously, now these numbers are not saved in the memory previously. Now only the computer will assign 500 to A. So when you ask for the ID of A, you can see that it gives a different identity because now only this 500 is stored in the memory. As I already said, these two are different objects, so they can't be saved in the same memory. So that is why these two objects are getting a different identity. I hope you understood what I'm saying. Now when we move on to the next topic, this is what I've discussed before about objects. Variable naming. So to perform calculations or logical computations in a program, you have to assign the values of some data types to variables, and these are the rules how a variable should be. The variable should begin with a letter or an underscore. It can have letters or digits in those variable namings. And when you use variables in Python, those are case sensitive. So what do you mean by case sensitive is like A is equal to 4 and capital A is equal to, let's say, 5. So here you can say that we didn't face any errors. And when I ask the computer to print A, it gives the output 4. And we ask the computer to print capital A, it gives the output 5. So uh, here it identifies simple A as a different object and capital A as a different object. That is what means by case sensitive. So if you use a capital word here and a simple word here, these two are considered as different objects. So the variable naming doesn't change that these are different objects just because you use a capital naming or a simple name. I hope you got the idea. So, and there are restrictions for you to not use keywords that are reserved for Python use. Like um, you can't use the print keyword to assign a variable. You can't use that. Like print is equal to 9. So when you use that, like I've assigned print is equal to 9, and I'm trying to print that, you'll get an error. Print is not an integer object. So to reduce those like naming errors, there are some reserved words for Python for them to use in the functions. So you can't use those names to assign your variables. I mean, you can't use those names as variables to assign the values. Sorry. So a small exercise in the variable naming so that so you can see there's a question here. So try to answer that question. Which of the following cannot be a Python variable name? Int underscore 1 or true or variable dash 2, name 3. Okay, there's one person who have answered. That is a lot of answers. It says you can't use true as a variable name. And there is some answers like var dash 2 is what the answer here. Let's see. Okay, I got a lot of answers. Now I'll review that. So you can use true as a variable name, but not var dash 2 because like in the rules of having variable names, you can use underscore but not the dash. And when it comes to true, as I've already said, Python is a case sensitive language. So when you use a capital true and a simple true, it really has a very big change because this is the capital TRU is what is a reserved word, but this simple thing is not a reserved word. So you can use this true as a variable name, but it is not a good practice to use this because it can create some confusions. But uh, to give you a understanding, I've discussed this here. So as Python is a case sensitive language, you like this true and this true are different thing. This is the what that is known as the reserved word, and this true is you can use this as a variable. I hope that is clear. So now we move on to mutable objects. So what is mutable objects is you can change the value of that object in the runtime. Like here you can see that is a list. We access those list here, and we can also change the same value like what is shown here. So previously there was a 0 here, and now you can see there's a 1. So you can change the value of the list here. Because of that, a list is known as a mutable object. And this is also doable for sets. You can see I've created a list now, and I'm going to change value in that list. And when I access A, the value I have changed is I've changed 4 to 3, and you can see that the value is changed here. So here the indexes are marked as 0, 1, 2. So the index I have given here is 2. So the value in the index 2, 4. This is pretty confusing. I use words. Yeah, now we it. And now you can see that this list ABC has changed into ABI. So the indexes are marked in like 0, 1, 2. I have given the index 2 here and assigned that as I. And now the C, which is previously in the place 2, has reassigned as I. So this is what we call a mutable object. So list comes under a mutable object. And set is also similar to list. You can assign the index value here. Not exactly set. It is dictionary because set is also an unordered list, unordered collection. So you can't possibly use a 0 here. It will randomly, but if you use it will randomly change that value. As you can see, I've already said this part starts from 0 and goes 1, 2, 3. But when you assign 0 here as D, the last pass has changed. So what is happening here is you can assign a value, but like because this set is an unordered collection, you can't expect the value in the 0th place to change as D. It will like change a random value to D, but it is still mutable. And when you look into immutable objects is the opposite to mutable objects. You can't change the value of that particular object in between. So when I use is equal to Varun, and if I like try to access V, which is in the 0th place, and change it as B, you can see it gives an error. But we can still access that value. Like in the 0th place, it gives the output V. You can access that value, but you can't change that value. So the immutable data types, immutable objects are strings and tuples. Tuple is also one of the data type. It is similar to list, but you can the difference between tuple and the list is list is a mutable object and tuple is an immutable object. You can't change the value of that tuple in the runtime. Now we move on to the operations and expressions. These are uh, like the expressions we use in the codes. Both there are both logical and arithmetic operators included here. So when we look at arithmetic operators, these are simply what we use in mathematics, addition, subtractions, and these signs could be new to you. This is basically um, an expression for exponent, modulus, and integer division. Integer division in the sense it's like we divide 50 by 2. The integer division is 25. So like the times of 52 into 25. So this 25 is what that returns as integer division. And when you give modulus, it is 0. That is the reminder. So modulus in this is what known as reminder, and this is the uh, top part. Like when you divide, like to so for 50 is equal to 2 into 25. So this 25 when you like integer divide by when you do an integer division of 50 by 2, it returns 25. And the exponent expression, like this is 2 to the power of 2, which is for this is not very difficult, so that I think you understand this. And when we move on to comparison operators, so these is where we like to compare things. I'll show you some examples now. So you can see that uh, x is equal to 5 and y is equal to 3. And I have assigned, I mean, like, compare that x and y are similar values. So it will return false anyway. You can see here that the answer is false. So comparison operators like compare the value that is assigned for the variable. In here, it has compared the value of x and y. It has compared the value of x and y. Here it is mentioned as x and y are similar values, which is wrong. So it will return that as false. Similar to that, you can compare any value using these comparison operators. Like this double equal means that you are saying the value is equal. Apostrophe equal is means not equal, and you know the greater than and less than signs. Greater than or equal and less than or equal. These are basic operators we use in mathematics. So, and also when you're using greater than or equal to or less than equal to, the order of these should be the same. You can't use the equal first and the comparison operator later. I'll show you an example. See, if 5 is greater than or equal to 4. Print yes. So you see, when I run this program, I get an answer as yes. But if you use the order differently, like I'll put an equal here and then the greater than sign here. Same. I'm not sure whether this is visible or not, but I'm getting an invalid syntax dialog box here. I think now you can see an invalid syntax dialog box. So this is what happens if you use the order differently. So first you have to use the greater than or less than sign, and after the equal. Now these are assignment operators, which is assigning a value to a variable. You have seen this x equal to 5, that like we are assigning this value 5 to x. Similarly, x plus equal 3 means x equal x plus 3. I'll give a value 5 and print x equal 5. So in here, it actually has the value 5. Like the previous value of x will be registered here, and now the x here gets a new value like plus 5 and 5, it will return 10. So Mr. Mahendra, what do you mean by the first table of operators? Is that the comparison or the arithmetic operators? Now it's okay, right? You can see the arithmetic operators. Okay. So as I was talking before, like if you assign this as like it is, the x here is the previous value, and now the new x gets a new value. So when I run this program, so I get the value 10. So this is what assignment operators do. Like when you learn more about the loops and conditional clauses and all, so you'll have more use to use these assignment operators. So now you may find this a bit cozy while you are learning these stuffs and all, but when you go a bit deep in the concepts, you'll realize the use of these and why we use these things in Python. After assignment of these are also assignment operators, like here you have exponents and this and sign uh, comes with the bitwise operator. So I'll explain bitwise operators and later come to that. So bitwise operators actually it deals with the binary value of a context. So by write a code like this, a is equal to 2, b is equal to 3, print a and b. What do you think the value of a and b will? Some are saying true and some are saying 2 or 3. So we are getting a lot of values like 2, true, and some are posting binary values as well. So we'll see what the answer is. It returns 2, but the process of returning the true is like a is equal to is changed into its binary value, which is what 2 is equal to the binary value 0, sorry, 0, 1, 0, and 3 is equal to 0. Okay, so 0, 1, 1. And when I use AND operator, it simply multiplies these values. You can say 0 into 1, 0, 1 into 1, 1, 0 into 0 is 0. So this is the final value that is given, and this value belongs to 2. That is why we get an answer 2 here. So bitwise operators change the assigned value into binary digits, and when you use these operators like AND is multiplication, and this OR is addition, XOR sets each bit to 1 if only one of the 2 bit is 1. Like if the if you have similar digits here, it will return 1. If you have different digits, it will return 0, something like that. Yeah, XOR, if there are 2 different digits, it will return 1. If there are similar digits, it will return 0. And this complement operator um, returns the exact opposite. For example, well, this will go deep into the 2's complement and all, but never mind. So the complement of 0 is -1. So when you look into the binary value of -1, you can see the binary of 0 is this. When you enter -1, should return. Sorry, I couldn't find the value of -1. It will take some time, but what is trying to explain is here the 0. This is the binary value of 0, and when you use the complement operator, which is this, the not operator, the zeros will be turned into 1, and that complement gives you the value -1. So what it exactly does is it changes the value into the opposite thing. If there is 0 1 0, it will change that as 1 0 1. And these signs are used to shift the binary value. Like if let's say like a is equal to 2, and that binary value of 2 is 0 1 0. So if you use a this one as an expression, I mean you use this as a code, this will the last digit will, I mean the first digit here will move one pace, and you get a value 1 0 0, which is 4. 6 2 a 1. The binary digit of 100 is equal to 4, the decimal 4. So So as what I've said, the first digit will move one pace and the one here will come to this place. The 0 will come to this, and to fill this place there will be another 0 here, and the final output is this. And the computer will search for this binary values decimal value, which is 4, and we get an output 4 like here. And it is also, you can do this in the other way as well, and for that you use this expression which moves the last digit, and this thing moves the first digit, and this thing moves the last digit. And you have logical operators. These are not similar to bitwise operators. This gives a true value and true or false values. For example, like let's say A is true, B is false. Like A and B. What do you think the answer will be? So as I said that like it will multiply both A and B's value. True into false is false, you get an answer false. And if this is A or B, here you add those Boolean values. True plus false returns true. So A or B is an addition of these Boolean values so that it will return true, and not when you use not A, it changes. I mean, it gives the opposite of the assigned value. If you use this for, if you use not for A, it will return false, and if you use not for B, it will give you the answer true. Membership operators, like it will check whether there is a member in the particular data present or not, and it returns a value true or false. If it returns true if the value is there, and if the value is not there, it will return a false. I'll show you example. Like I'll define a list here. 1, 2, 3 here. So if I say A in, sorry, 5 in A. So obviously this list doesn't has a value 5. So you'll get an answer false. And if you check whether 1 is in the list, it returns true because the list has 1. So what do you think? 4, not in A. What do you think this returns? You can put your answers in the chat. What do you think 4 not in A will return? False, 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 false. Yeah, I think all of you got the idea. So yeah, because 4 not in A is false because in A there is a value called 4. So it will return false. Very good. And this is what membership operators. Now when we move on to identity operators is like assigning, like similar to the assign comparative, no, not assigning, comparative operators. Like if you compare two values, these two values are same. I mean the identity, if the identity is same, it gives true as a value, and if it is not, it will give false as a value. Like if I say A is equal to 5, B is equal to 5. If I say A is B, it will return true. Is equal to 500, is equal to 500. A is B, it returns false. As I previously said, it compares the identity of these objects. So from values from 0 to 255, they have already like pre-registered in the memory. So these things have similar IDs, so it returns the value true. But values over 255 are not pre-registered, so it will create this object now only and this object separately now. So when you compare the IDs of both of these, both of them will be different, and now it returns a value false. So what do you think? 124, B is equal to 124. A is, what do you think the answer for this will be? True, true. Yeah, yeah. As the number ranges from 0 to 25 are pre-registered in the memory, this number comes under that. So it will be true because the identity for these two objects are same. Is not is also like same. I don't think I have to explain. It's not. It's very similar to is. So now we move on to the order operator orders. Like in Max, where we use bot mass to simplify expression. Here we have this order. So in this order, only the computer process the expression. So you have to have a clear idea of this to, like, if you write a code in one line and you have all of these expressions, so there may come some logical errors to, so the so to get the expected end result, you have to follow these operator orders. And now we move on to input and output functions. Input and output functions are like in input, you ask for an input from the user, and output is just that prints the value in the screen. For example, assign A is equal to input and print A and saving this value. And when I run this code, you can see the ideal is asking me for a value. Okay, I type 1, 2, 3, and next it will print that value. It is simple as that. So the input function asks, accepts a value from the user, and the print function that prints the value in the screen. So in between the print function, this is separator, like you can, there are multiple values to be printed. This you can use this separator to like add commas, for example. For each, like, So for some reason, separator is not working for me. But when you use separator, if you print values like 1, 2, 3, when you use separator, it will separate those values using the keyword you have mentioned. Like for separator, if I mention comma, it will return the value with commas. Like that. What end means is, for example, like without using end, I'll show you how the output comes. You can see without using end, I've printed values from 0 to 4 using an inbuilt function called range. But the matter is, with in print, there is a default end which is called next line. So if it prints one object here, and because of end having a predefined, because of end is predefined as next line, it will print the other value in the next lines. You can also change the default end into what you prefer. Like if I say end equal space or end equal comma, you can see the end, like the value which has been printed in next lines is now printed in the same line which was differentiated by commas. So you can add any symbols and differentiate this, like ladder first of all, like this ladder sign. You can see that this sign is printed in the end of all digits. You can see in the end of 0 you have this sign, in the end of 1 you have this sign. Like that it will be printed in all the end of every digits. This is how we customize the print function, and these are some examples discussed. And now we move on to the last phase, which is assignments we have for you. I'll show you, and to do these assignments you have to have a HackerRank account. I'll show you how to make an HackerRank account now. Like, so you go to HackerRank. So you can go and sign up here. Select I'm here to practice and prepare my skills. Create an account. So as I have already created an account, this thing appears for me, but for you, so something like this will come. And if you can prepare, like give the credentials here and agree for the terms and conditions, you can create a new account, or else you can use your Gmail account to sign in and create a HackerRank account. So uh, that is the end of this session. I hope you got something. And there's a small announcement to make as well. Try to try to make these HackerRank accounts before Monday, because we'll be putting Google form and a PDF in your delegate groups. The PDF has your registration number and the forms. You have to fill that with the username you have given in the HackerRank and the reference number. So for those who have not filled those registration forms, simply when we have like after Monday we'll be having mini hackathons, and uh, if even if you participate without registering, even if you participate in those hackathons, you won't be considered under the leaderboard. Yeah, the slides will be shared in the group. Don't worry about that. Do remember to register in those links, because even if you do a splendid work without registering, we won't consider under you that leaderboard. So why you bother not registering? So go and register after we put the links, and also make the HackerRank accounts as soon as possible. So I think you got some insights from what we have discussed, and I now give this over to Ms. Smithma. Smithma in our. Yeah, Mr. Izzat, I think we'll put the recording links in the groups, so don't worry about that. Yeah, you can get the recordings, I guess. It will be shared in the groups. So if you have any doubts regarding today's discussion, you can ask. I think we have some time. So anybody has any questions? Yeah, the assignment is what I mentioned by assignment is the mini hackathons. Uh, the links for the assignments will be shared. You will do the assignments in Hackathon. So sorry, you'll do the assignments in HackerRank. So to do those, I mean like uh, to do that assignments and get into the ranking, you have to register with the link will be which will be provided soon. So that assignments you asked uh, is basically hackathons in HackerRank. Yeah, Shakil, the sets are immutable objects, yes, but as what we have discussed here, you can like um, but like you can change the value inside it. Like it won't be like what I mentioned. It won't be in an ordered way. Like you can't change something in the zeroth place just because you give it the zero index. It will be very random. So sets are immutable objects. Yes, maybe there's some. So guys, there isn't any other announcements need to be made. You can leave the session, and if anyone has any doubts, you can ask that in the chats. And also remember about the registration thing. Make an HackerRank account as soon as possible and register through that link so that you can participate in the hackathons we are conducting.